Knock, knock.
Who's there?
It's Tina.
Hi, Tina. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm really great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. For everyone listening, thank you for tuning in for another episode. We have another amazing Academy member story for you today. And Tina's joining us to tell us all about her fitness journey and many other things in between. And I want to kick off by just sharing a little bit of my backstory and how we met, and then obviously how Nicky met as a result of that, because you kind of 2-for-1 package over here.
I won't get one free.
I'll get one free. And then we're going to dive a little bit into kind of your story and your journey and see where we go from there. So about 12 years ago,
Was it 12?
12,
Yeah.
13 years ago, maybe, we came across one another at the gym. And I was a trainer, and Tina, you found me, and I wanted to share this because I want to share this story. And I don't know if I've ever really told you this, but I'm going to tell you now and then broadcast it on the internet for everyone. So I distinctly remember I had a full list of clients, and probably had space for a few other people. And I had the personal training manager at the gym come to me and say, this person's come up, they want to have training. They said they only want to train with you. And what was really impactful to me was what you said. I've watched you on the gym with your clients, and you're the only person I want to train with. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. It was 13 years ago, or something like that.
I'm sure it was 11.
11, 10, 12, 13, I don't know. And it impacted me massively. And I always think about that when I talk to new trainers in the industry, new instructors, or when I'm on the floor, whether that be virtual or in person, as to how much of an impact it plays. And there is always someone watching. And we started on this awesome relationship. We're training you for a year or so then, and then on and off in between. And we've just kind of continued to be in that journey. And we've had many meetings, and here, there, and everywhere, and all over the place. And as everyone will hear, Tina, you've got a slight funny accent like we have. So I wanted to share that story because it's important to me. And I wanted you to know that it's impacted me in my career for the last 10 plus years, or however many years it is, 10, 12, 11, 13, 14. So yeah, and then I want to hand it over to you to, share a little bit about that story, but also go back and talk to us about your kind of fitness journey as far back as you want to go, really, and up to the current day.
All righto. Okay. So, well, that particular story, my memory is that I just pounced on you and said, Gareth, I want you to train me. And it was because of what I'd been seeing you doing with other people, and just I recognize quality when I see it, right? So you just reached a level of excellence that only I can accept, right? No, I'd been with trainers before, and some of them were really, really excellent, and some of them weren't, but it gave me a very good picture of who's good at training and who isn't. I just, because of my particular conditions at the time, I wanted to work with someone that really, really knew what they were doing. So that's why I insisted it was going to be you or nobody. So yeah. And
then help that he was also English. Was that a little bit of a pull? Come on.
Could have been.
Not Australian, English.
Not Australian. I don't know. I think there's a cultural connection when you're from the same place, that there's a lot of things you don't have to say, and you kind of get each other very quickly. So that was also part of it. And then when I met Nicky, I went, oh, this is a great package, right? Because I don't know, you're just such a great couple together. Really love that.
Cheers, thanks.
Thanks very much. Oh, that's so good.
And that's the end of our episode. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the testimonial. We'll take that and run. Well, it was a wonderful time training, and I remember fondly the laughs. And as you said, that cultural connection is always fun, and we had some good laughs, and I'm sure no one else knew what we were going on about. So it was good memories for sure. Now, obviously, that was in your journey quite far through your fitness journey. So what I always love to kind of dig into a little bit, because I think it paints a really good picture, is what were your influences like as a young adult or even a child when it came to exercise and health and nutrition and fitness and kind of everything that encompasses what you do now with your lifestyle?
Yeah, I'm only laughing because I was a fat kid. Right. I was the fat kid, and I was the only girl with 4 older brothers in my family. And to be honest, this isn't a pity story, but we weren't well off. It was it was basically survival as opposed to, you know, being on teams and stuff like that. So when I went to high school, which was an all-girls school, I was fat and we had to play sport. So I couldn't climb a rope. We had to play field hockey, so they always put me in goal because I couldn't run. Oh God. So, you know, fitness and exercise and sports were just not even on my radar until much later in my life. So long story short, lived in South America for a while, then emigrated to Canada with my husband and my two sons. And I got to the age of 42. Now, you might relate to this. I'm not going to tell anyone how old I think you are, but you might relate to this. I got to the age of 42, 2 children, a husband, a very busy job. And I realized that I was doing nothing, absolutely nothing for me as a person. So I went 42. If any of you have read Douglas Adams' books, I don't know if you know, The Life, the Universe and everything, it's the 42 is the answer. So it's a very significant age. And so I actually started riding horses. I wanted to learn how to ride. So I did dressage. And then I realized that I didn't have the leg strength that you need to ride horses. Anyway, I thought it was about time I started doing something with my body and actually get into better shape, because it's very difficult raising children and having a busy job when your fitness isn't up there. So I started going to group exercise classes. Now, I'm old, so this is in the era of Jane Fonda and leg warmers. Don't you remember all that? Go to the burn. Yep. So I used to go to aerobics classes like that, and then eventually I got to realize that I probably needed some help because my back was so messed up. I had some really bad injuries. I climbed off a galloping horse and all kinds of stuff like that. So lots of falls. And I thought I need to do something about this. So I started going to exercise classes, and then I started looking for some kind of coaching and training, which is why I started working with personal trainers. And the important thing for me was to maintain my bone density, my muscular strength, and also, having been a fat kid, I've been battling, you know, weight my entire life. So it was also a very good way to keep my my body in much better shape and carrying less fat but more muscle. So and I know I'm a mesomorph, so I do build muscle quite well. And so I noticed that with the trainers I was working with, because I wanted to work and do everything properly, they actually quite enjoyed training me, and I was able to build quite a bit of strength. So that's how I got into personal training and exercising and looking for really good trainers. And the reason that I spent so much time with you, Gareth, is because you are so good with backs and physics and dealing with injuries that we've all gathered over our period of time. And I didn't want to do anything which was going to make things worse for me. So that's, I think, the most thing that I got out of you, Gareth, was building my strength, but also doing it in a very safe way to protect my back, my knee, my shoulder. I've got so many injuries, it's just not true.
I would like to comment here that I am, yes, very particular about technique. Some people would say I'm anal. Probably the person sitting next to me right now would say that.
It's not just about technique, but okay, there's lots.
Yes, I am very particular about the movement quality. It's very important. Now, what stands out for me there is at the age of 42, which we myself and Nicky might be around that age somewhere now, is there does come this time where we kind of realize, I think, and this talks to a lot to our audience and busy parents, is it kind of gets to that point where we realize we stop prioritizing ourselves. We've got a career. You had a very successful career in a high stress job, a high stress environment with kids in a different, emigrating to another country. Like I understand a lot of those things, and I've been through those. it is easy to slip off and stop prioritizing yourself. Now, where did you find time? And I know this sounds like a very out there question, and there's probably 1,000 different answers, but when you have all those things going on, and a lot of people will be thinking this, if I just don't have time to fit it in, how did you find the time and the space in your busy life to fit that movement and exercise in and prioritize yourself again?
Oh yeah, okay, great question. Because it's very, very easy to go, oh, I haven't got time to do that, because, you know, even if it's only half an hour, because I've got to do this. And so what I actually did, well, first of all, starting with the dressage, I used to say to my husband, this is my evening, I'm going riding. So, I mean, I just started to take back my time. But then when I was working, I used to go to the gym at for a 6:15 a.m. class. So I'd get all of that done. So the kids, I mean, when the kids are a bit older, they could get themselves up and get themselves ready. But I used to go, okay, this is my time. And I used to go 3 times a week at 6:15, and I'd be in the office by 8:30. So that all worked very well. And I only continued doing it because I realized it was making me feel better, right? It was actually giving me more energy as opposed to less. You know, I was just able to sustain more stressful and tense environments. So the thing is, when you're prioritizing yourself, you have to go, no, this is for me. I mean, as a mother, as a wife, as an employee, you start to realize that when you're trying to do it all and being the best for everybody, you put yourself on the back burner, and that really isn't helpful. The only way you can really be a good parent, partner, and employee is by taking care of yourself first.
I couldn't agree with you more, you know, and I think once we get over that mum guilt, job guilt, wife guilt, partner guilt, whatever you want to call it, we're then actually realizing the habits that we've created, or the way we're allowing ourselves to be, I guess, manipulated into this world, is actually at the detriment to yourself and everybody else.
Yep.
But it takes a step back to realize that. So once you've taken a step back and you kind of face that guilt of whatever it might be, you can then start taking back time for yourself, empowering yourself, feeling confident, etc., all these other wonderful things, which then just have that ripple effect into everything, right? Motherhood, job, being a partner, and it's only going to make it better. But sometimes it just seems so hard to make that cut for things to get better. So we just carry on, right, in the mess, and we don't actually want to make that change. So, you know, I love that you highlighted that by saying, no, actually, I just had to take that step, and it improved everything else.
Yes, it did. And you know, for anyone listening, this is my elderly wisdom. You just have to make the decision. And that's really what I did. I went, I've decided. Yeah. And then once you've made the decision, you manifest all of those things that you need to do to get it done. So, you know, it's not that I've been continuously perfect. I've had ups and downs and stuff, but you know, if I get into a bad way, I go, okay, I just need to get back to looking after myself again. So, you know, I mean, it's not like you suddenly see the light and you become perfectly angelic. It's just, you know, it becomes an undertone to everything else that you do, is going, oh, okay, I haven't been looking after myself. So I need to start doing that again.
That's it. You just got to check back in, right? And it comes back to that kind of saying of, you know, we are what we do, right? Not what we say. So we can choose something over for eternity in our brain. Like, it might be a good idea, but you have to take that action. And sometimes it is that cut and dry, isn't it, Tina? Nope, I'm doing this.
Yeah, too bad. I don't care if everything's powered up and you've got to take care of things. I'm just doing this. Yes, because otherwise I'm leaving.
That's so true. And I remember something that one of my mentors said to me a long time ago, and it was, you know, all that stuff you're worrying about, it will be there tomorrow still, and the world won't end. So if you need to go get a workout in for 30 minutes, or you need to go for a walk, or you need to cook yourself a healthy meal, it'll still be there tomorrow, and probably is not a priority. So I think that's really, really important. Something else that came up for me that I wanted to circle back to was, you mentioned how, you know, you just said at the time, you know, your household, 2 kids and a husband and yourself, is I'm going to go out. This is my night to go riding, and I'm going to do it. So I think there's an important message in there. And I'm going to talk from the male side and also just in general. But when you surround yourself with other people that will do what they can to support that for you, it completely changes the whole journey of your health, well-being, fitness. I don't care what it is. It doesn't really matter. But when you prioritize yourself and somebody else supports that. So, the second that Nicky says to me, I'm going out to work out, or I'm going to go do this, and it's a Saturday morning, or it's an evening, or whatever it might be, I'm like, yeah, cool. I can do that. I'll look after the household. And, we share everything within our house, and we do that. And I, in the same reason, I'll get up and go and do what I want to do, or whatever it is having people around you. So I just think that's an important takeaway for anyone listening, is have those conversations, be bold enough and brave enough to say, this is what I need to do, and this is why I need to do it. And hopefully you have those people around you. And if you don't, find more of those people around you that support that. Loved ones, friends, families, partners, whatever it is. So really important point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if we're talking about relationships, it's the kind of a way of setting a boundary. You go, this is important to me. And no, because you want to do something else, it's not appropriate that you overstep my boundary, because I really need to do this for myself. So I think it's well, you're obviously good partners with each other, but you have to at some point establish that ability to go, no, this is what I want to do, and it's going to be good for everybody if I do it.
And I'm curious on that. Sorry, I beat you to the punch there. I was curious to know that the moment you made that decision, Tina, right? And then you did something for yourself.
Yeah.
And of course, it being a physical activity, did that kind of inspire or shift anybody else in your family?
No.
Okay. Because sometimes it does, right? It takes one person to kind of break, not the funk, but to mix it up and try something new, for other people to be like, oh, okay, great. It's almost like, not that we do need permission from other people, but it just kind of starts that. Well, if Tuesday night's your night to go riding, well, then on Thursday, I'm going to pick up swimming. And okay, cool. So I was just curious if your change in habits and setting those boundaries influenced anybody else in your family. So that's why I asked that question. I'm sorry it didn't.
Well, my husband was a rugby player. He was quite athletic, so he never actually did personal training, but he was in a pretty good place himself. And actually, you know what? And I'm not picking on men. I think men are much more able to say, I want to go do this. And sometimes women, especially as mothers, get this guilt, and they're going, oh, well, I don't know if I should, because I'm taking time away. So I think it's sometimes more difficult for a woman to be able to do that.
Yeah, I would agree, and I don't want to. We're not going to continue this journey of bashing men, but I will share my thought on that. I think this comes, it's twofold. So I'll share two things. First of all, I agree. And I think we need to look at it from we're all responsible for everything within our household, which is how we look at it. And how I hope a lot of people look at it. And maybe this is a generational thing, maybe it isn't. But when it's deemed from a woman's point of view, and I'm assuming this only, is you feel like you're asking your partner to babysit the kids or look after the kids. And I think that is where the issue comes up, right? I think for many, many years, maybe men went out to work and they did that. They prioritized things they wanted to do. I'm hoping that in the modern world, and definitely what I'm a big advocate for, is that we're both in it together and both equally as important. And this one thing, and everyone will know this if they've listened to me talk about it before on the podcast, but my biggest pet peeve is when people are like, oh, you're babysitting. Oh, that's nice. Your husband's going to look after you. I'm like, no. I'm a parent and I'm parenting, and this is what I do. And, we approach it like that, and we have an understanding that that's what it is. And I think that's important for anyone listening, is that try and create that, build that within your household. And this is what I was talking about by surrounding yourself, is having those conversations. However, on the flip side of it, because then that's my little bit of bashing. So I'll now talk to the other side of it, is I see many men that aren't given permission to show up as a parent by their partner. And what happens is they're not given every time they do something, it's taken over by the mum. It's taken over. They're not allowed to do this because they don't do it properly. You're not changing the diaper properly. You're not doing this properly. You're not strapping him in the car seat properly. I'm very fortunate that Nicky has no problem leaving me to do anything all the time.
I love delegation. I'm very good at that.
She's the boss. So I don't have that problem. I've always been given permission to do it and to mess up along the way. However, I know a lot of people I've come into contact with aren't given that permission. So totally sidebar to the conversation, but I think that's important too, is look at the environment, look at what you're giving permission to, how are you building that support structure around you within parenting, and that leads out to your fitness journey. So there's my rant over.
Yeah, good. Well, good points though.
All right.
Off on one.
Yeah, and that's I guess that's okay.
It's my show. Do I want?
Hi Tina, are you still awake? You okay over there?
No, it's okay. I mean, we're used to Gareth, and he is a good talker.
Yes. Do like a rant.
Yeah, 100%.
Do like a rant. He's making very good points. Anyway, but having said that, and I'm sorry if I'm moving away from anything you wanted to talk about. Now I'm single. I obviously have zero guilt. I mean, zero. I didn't have to ask anyone for permission to do anything. I just go, yeah, I'm going to do that. So that's a lot of freedom. So since I've been 42, so that was what, like 27 years ago. Is that yes, it is. Man, oh man, that's terrible. So I keep coming and going into it. So what I'm doing now is dealing with what do you call it? It's not atrophy, but it's when everything starts falling apart. I've got flexibility issues. My back I did mess it up in my 40s, so that's a complete problem. But just coming back to work with the Nock Academy on all of this has just been the best thing. And I think I told you this. I did have COVID 2.5 years ago, and I don't think anyone really realized how much that knocks you back. And so I came back. So, I mean, I did a lot of training. I was in pretty good shape, and then I wasn't. And then I came back, but then I got COVID, and I was sitting around. I think I must have sat and not moved for about 3 months, because you just don't have the energy to do it. So when you launched the academy, it was just a big thrill for me. I'm going, good, I can get someone to work with me to like get me back again to where I needed to be. And for me, having schedule, I mean, I know you've got things on video, and we can go off and do them anytime. What works for me is having an appointment and having some kind of interaction with people. And both you and Nicky, you're just so great at the way that you coach and spot and like make adjustments, all with positive reinforcement on that. And so, I can't remember when I started. Was it October?
About right, yeah, September,
Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
So I was one of your first things, and I've just noticed that my strength has got better, and my back pain has definitely improved, as long as I'm consistent with what I'm doing. So all good for you. So I mean, my focus now is more maintaining and preventing entropy. That's the word I was looking for. Preventing entropy, and honestly, getting flexible so that I can continue to move. I just, as opposed to I wanted to be in gorgeous shape when I was in my 40s. Now I just don't want to be a little old lady, right?
Yeah,
it's true. And you did actually speak about that when you were talking about when you're in your 40s as well, right? Like, and it does start for us women, around that time that the bone density starts to decrease, right? And then we do run the risk of osteoporosis, of arthritis, and all these other wonderful bits and pieces that happen as we age. So, you kind of identified it back then, which I think is important. And it's something that every single person, right, male and female, should be aware of, that don't wait until things fall apart, right? Like, let's be preventative, and let's work on range of motion, flexibility, and all these things that you were just talking to, Tina, so we do have longevity in free movement, right? And I think that's one of our biggest fears once we kind of get into, I guess, middle age is, am I going to lose my ability to be able to move and do these things, and things that in your 20s you take for granted. So it's great to hear that, although that for 3 months you couldn't necessarily do very much, it's great to hear that now you're back into movement again. It's come back quite quickly, and you're already seeing the benefits that regular movement, breath work, whatever it might be, is having an effect on your physical body. And I'm guessing, we haven't necessarily gone there yet, but I'm also guessing, for your mind, for your mental health as well, like being sedentary and dormant for 3 months must have taken its toll there.
Well, yes. We've all been suffering from the pandemic, and I think it's affected mental health like across the board, especially I think with children between the ages of 5 and 10. I've seen this with my grandchildren. But the thing for me, and so we all get stuck in, and it's very easy when you're a bit more isolated than you're used to, and you're seeing less people and doing less, to get depressed. Now, I'm not a depressive kind of person. I don't really get that, but I do get down, and for very short periods of time. But what I think, having like got up and like restarted everything for myself, and going, oh yeah, I remember. It wouldn't actually matter if I'd never done anything. I still think at my age, at 68, to start, which I was then, to restart on a fitness journey. It's worth it. It's not like, oh God, I'm old now, it's not worth bothering.
Right. Keep saying that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, it's and I think that I just owe that to myself. I want to live my best life, and be mobile for as long as I can. And I think you can only do it with proper coaching. If you're out there just trying to do things yourself, I don't know. I just believe in professional help when it's available, because you get the best results that way. So it's, for me, it's an investment in myself. It's not, I don't see it as a cost at all.
Well, that's very wise words that everyone should dial into. And if you'd like to invest in yourself, you can head over to nockacademy.com.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
No, but it's true.
No, it is true. And I'm being playful. But yes, it is an investment in that. And here's how I always see it. And I get asked this question a lot on many different, mediums, but is some movement better than no movement? Yes. Is coached, accountable movement better? Yes. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're at the point where just getting up and walking is what you need to do right now, great. But to your point, Tina, you can just start now, and you can start with some coaching, and you can start with guidance, because if you get it right at the beginning, there's a lot more chance that longevity, within your movement is going to play out really well throughout your life, whatever stage of your life you're at. So that is really important. I'd love to just press rewind a little bit on COVID, because I know that you'd suffered a little bit with kind of long COVID symptoms, and I'm sure there'll be people that have had it, will no doubt get it. And some people that, and I've heard it been explained kind of as a bit of a lottery as to what symptoms you get and how long they last. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how it affected you, kind of from your lungs, breathing, fatigue, and what that kind of felt like. So anyone else that's going through it, or maybe does go through it, understands kind of a bit more about it.
Yeah, okay. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't nothing went below my, no, it's not true. It didn't affect my lungs at all. Most of my symptoms were in my upper head and the back of my nose, and I lost my sense of smell, which has only just started to come back. It's been more than a year, and it's really weird. I also had some GI symptoms, but and that's another thing. And then I'd have these random pains, like they would just like shoot out. It was really bizarre. I was considered a mild case, but I was in bed for 3 or 4 days. It felt like really bad flu. So, and after that, I was just tired. I couldn't, I'd do something, and after half an hour of doing just like general activity, I'd go, oh God, I'm so wiped. And that took a very long time to go away. But some people can't even get up off the couch. I wasn't that bad. I just had no stamina whatsoever. Couldn't last, and of course no strength. But the thing I noticed afterwards, which has been pretty persistent, is I've got more inflammation in my joints. Right, so I started getting my fingers. I'm not from an arthritic family background, but my joints have started getting bad. I've had some really bad hip bursitis, and my knees hurt and my back hurts, and so I think a lot of that's inflammation, which is why I'm so keen on the Yogability and the yoga classes and Pilates and stuff like that, because I just need to keep everything like moving and stuff like that. So that's one of the most positive benefits from doing like really well coached exercise after COVID, because I'm still suffering from inflammation, and I understand that's quite common with a lot of people. I also got arrhythmia, right? So my heart would change its rhythm quite frequently. It wasn't terrible, but I also had to watch that and stuff like that. So everything that I'm doing now is really to keep me mobile, to keep my joints lubricated, and to stop everything from getting worse. I think it will improve, and obviously I'm eating a really anti-inflammatory diet as much as I can, but I don't think without doing the kind of exercise regime that I'm doing, I would be in such a good shape.
Yeah, and that's really great to know. And my understanding of the basic knowledge I have of it is that most things like that, like cardiorespiratory disease, is inflammatory in nature, and it affects the body in an inflammatory way. So I think that's really important. I think anyone listening that has had COVID or anything that's inflammatory, because the flu, a cold, whatever it is, there is often a rush to get back to the exercise regime that we previously had before we were sick. Now, whether this is 3 months of long COVID or whether it's a week of a cold, whatever it is, remember that the body is inflamed, and everything will be inflamed. As we've just heard, your joints suffer, your heart can suffer, all these things that can happen, the muscles. Is be very mindful of that, because there are certain exercises, as you mentioned, like Pilates, like yoga, mobility-based stuff, where we're not going to increase a lot of inflammation. However, hard, intense cardiovascular exercise is going to increase that in your body, as is resistance training. You're putting stress on the body, the inflammation on the muscles as they grow and repair. So that's something I think people miss, is think, oh, it's a heart and lung thing, so I'll be fine to get back into it. But that slow, steady process is really important. And as we're in a time of trying to adapt to a new cardiorespiratory disease that is out there, I think that's a really important point that lots of people can take on board, and a key factor for recovery for a lot of people outside of COVID too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. It's I just remember saying when you did that circuit class on the family day weekend, that I went, oh my God, I am so out of shape. It really, really hit me hard. I went, I can't do this. This isn't that difficult. So yeah. One of the things I've learned to be as I'm getting older is be really patient with myself. I'm just doing it. It will get better. And that's what Nicky sent me a note and said, it's okay. It's really hard, but it will get easier as you go through. So thank you for the encouragement, because I went, oh my God, I don't know if you even noticed at one point during the session, I had to take a lie down on the sofa.
Hey, you do you.
Okay, if you need to lie down midway through this, we accept you showing up any way you like, even if it is lying down in the middle of a session.
Yes, yeah, and I didn't stop. I got back into it, but anyway, yeah, thank you. It is. I know it's the COVID, like a COVID hangover, and I'll be all right.
Yeah, and I think that's important. COVID or no COVID, look, show up as you are, do the best you can, and when you do that, your best gets better inevitably over time. So, and I think that's important. That's just outside of fitness. That's a message in general for life, but it's so important. And what I think you said is important is you can show up on a group-based workout with lots of other people and still work at a capacity that's right for you. So, we do group-based workouts. However, we try and tailor that to everybody. So, we meet you where you're at, and we have the ability to, within our coaching experience and our coaching skills, to be able to coach everybody in that group at the level they're at and offer the options and the modifications for that. So if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, it's a group workout, I'm not quite sure, or you've done those styles of workouts and felt like you couldn't keep up, so to speak, know that coaching should allow you that space to stay at the level you need to be at and not keep up with everybody else. And that's a big unique factor that we, are very passionate about with what we do.
Oh, no, absolutely. And, that was one of the things I was really determined to say to you about, group classes on Zoom. The peer review are so, you give options, right? And there's no feeling that you have to compete or do what everyone else is doing. I just love that you go, okay, so, if this is available to you, do it. If it's not, like, do something else. I really like that. And so it feels, I don't know, you just feel cared for. I'm not being mushy, but you just feel like there really is some input going on there, and it's customizable. So I enjoy all of my classes. I don't care if I can't do the weights or the extensions or whatever. I'm just doing what I can do, and I know I've improved. So that's really what matters. And I think you being able to do this on a virtual basis is just speaks very much to your skills and your professional capabilities. I don't know how you do it, because I haven't seen anyone do it the way you two do it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. And I kind of like that, right? Like no one else does it like we do it, and they shouldn't, because we are us.
Yeah, and selfishly, I don't really like going out, so I don't have to anymore. It's great. I just stay home.
But actually, I think you touched on something there, like because it is an online platform, it's become accessible. It's become more it has become more accessible than ever. So, even when, you had COVID, or you were restricted in getting out, or, you didn't have the energy to go to somewhere to work out and then come back, it's accessible to you wherever you may be, right? And that is the joy of being online. It is a completely different experience. It is as a coach, a completely different skill set in being able to coach somebody that way. So it does take time. It does take practice, whether you are the coach or whether you are the consumer, right? Like it is different. So knowing that you've consumed fitness like in person and now virtually, like what's your experience been like? I'm not asking is one better than the other, I'm just those subtle differences if somebody is curious.
Well, first of all, it's right there. So if I'm going, oh well, we're under snow at the moment, I mean, sometimes I can barely get out, right? Because there's so much snow or the wind's blowing. So it's right there. So you don't have to go, oh God, the weather's bad, I don't feel like going out. It's like I've got an appointment at 9:30 or whenever it is, and I just have to throw my workout stuff on, and it's right there. So the thing is, there's no excuse.
You can't get out of it.
Barrier free. Yep.
I can't make an excuse. And as I said before, I need an appointment. So, it doesn't matter to me that you've got all these things, which is great to have from a library. But, I know I've got to be there. So it's just, honestly, it's so easy. And I mean, to do this in the middle of a pandemic, I think it's a stroke of genius on your part, because it's what we need. So honestly, all you can say to people is, I know you wouldn't be mean about it, is there is no excuse. If you want to do it, there's nothing to stop you from doing it.
Yep, that's so true. But that for a lot of people can be quite scary too.
Yeah.
Right. Having plan B might encourage someone to do plan A, but having no plan B, plan A seems a little bit more risky, right? A little bit more scary. But you know what? I think that accountability is a good thing. I think, like we were saying way back when, once you set that line in the sand and you're like, no, I'm going to go for something, this is a great way to check in with that accountability, because there is no way to get out of it, like you said. So
yes,
we are watching everything.
we see. I see who's booked on. For all you members listening, I see when you're booked on. I know when you show up. I check every day. I see everything. Don't think you're hiding it from me. I also see when you're watching videos and when you're not. So you can't lie to me. I know. I see everything.
But isn't it actually nice to have a choice, Tina, right? Like, you can now do fitness online.
Yes.
And you can now do fitness in person. And like I said, it's a different experience and different people like different things. So, you know, choice is what it's all about.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But you know, the thing about doing it virtually like this is like if you get caught up with stuff, which I often do, and I go, oh my God, it's time. If I had to go out for a class, I'd miss it or I'd be late. And this way you can go, okay, well, I can just make it happen. So yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm so glad that I'm doing this for myself, right? I congratulate myself when I've done a class.
Yeah, so you should.
Good stuff. Celebrate those wins along the way, because those wins, those celebrations create more motivation in the future. So another good, important note for people. And I want to talk to, we get a lot of fitness professionals that tune into the show as well as fitness consumers. And this may be, you know, good for everybody, but definitely for the fitness professionals is Nicky touched on something about how the skill set's very different. And this is key because it is very easy right now in the industry to say, well, I think I'll go online. So a lot of people seem to be doing stuff online. And we did this exact thing. We said exactly the same. Yeah, we're going to go online. We're going to do this. And we very got a rude awakening that it is very different. And it took a year of tweaking everything and changing everything and figuring out the best setup to be able to do it. And it is a different skill set. Is it coaching? Yes. Is it very different from coaching somebody live? Yes. And there's that frustration where you're like, I'm just this far away from the screen and I can't quite get that, what I need to get across. And I think that's an important message. And also to know that if you come to experience what we do or any online fitness platform, is know that it's a different skill set from the coach, but it's also a different experience. And what we've realized is that it's not one is better than the other or compare this one to that one. It's just a different thing. Working out online is very different to working out in person. So try not to compare the two, but see it as a different thing that you could try and you could love and you might not. So I think that's a really important message. I also wanted to, so something else I wrote down earlier, you have been in a community of exercise group fitness classes you started doing. You also did some personal training. And I wrote down here, I don't know if I even have a question, but community versus solo exercise. So it is kind of a statement more than anything, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the community of working out in a group, how that impacts what you do, how you show up, etc., compared to working out on your own and doing it on a one-to-one basis. And I'm not trying to talk us out of business or anything, but I just want to know how those different things, how the experience is different for you, and maybe share that with anyone listening so they know for their future decisions.
Okay, so I think it's a great question, but the answer is going to depend on people's like personalities, right? I'm an introvert. I'm not a joiner, right? I do go to group classes, but I'm like this on an airplane. Like if I'm sitting on an airplane and someone talks to me, I'm going, no, and then I put my head in my book. You know, I'm in my own little bubble because I'm very focused on what I'm doing. And as I say, I'm not competitive in any way. So it's not that I don't enjoy group classes. It's just that I prefer like an interaction one-on-one. I mean, I really loved personal training sessions because you can have a laugh while you're doing it, and you know you can get things. But the thing is, doing it virtually like this, you're in a group class, but it's, you know, for me, I can still stay in my own little bubble.
Yes.
And love that. I do. You know, you don't get people like taking your space and irritating you and stuff like that. Sorry, I must sound like a real bitch, but
Yep. Say it as it is. That's what we like.
When I'm doing it, see, the only thing I don't look at anybody else on the screen. I just look at you guys and then take care of what I'm doing. So I absolutely love it. It's perfect for an introvert.
That's so, yeah, it's so good. And I was actually kind of secretly hoping that's what you would say, knowing you and your personality and, you know, our kind of history and everything we've done with training, because sometimes we use community as a big selling point in what we do because it is a community. However, some people are put off by that.
Okay.
And what I wanted for you to share, and I was hoping you'd share, was exactly that. Like, you don't have to be, you can be in it without being in it, and you don't have to be in that crowded class if that isn't comfortable for you, especially right now in the world we're living in. Some people just aren't comfortable with that. So you can come to this environment, and the nice thing is you get a little bit of personal one-to-one attention. You can stay in your bubble. but it might be a way more cost-effective option for people than doing it singularly with just them and a trainer.
Oh yeah.
So you get both benefits of it. So it's a really nice mix. I know you had something to say, but I beat you
Well,
to
no,
it.
I was just going to say, well, it's not, you're not really in your bubble, you're in your Zoom square, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what was that?
Zoom square.
I'm in the cube.
Like you're all in your little, like, was
That's
it
what we
blank,
see.
blank? I don't know, and you're
Yeah.
all in your little box. But no, but it's true, because you're part of a team. But you're right, Tina. You look right and left, and there's nobody else there. Like it's just you. So you are accountable to yourself. It is like you're working one-on-one, because when the session starts, all you see is us.
Yep.
And it's you. So you almost, in some ways, forget there's other people there until we decide to gallery share, which tends to be at the beginning or at the end. So you are immersed into a community, but you're still kind of going solo as well. And I think that's the beauty here of virtual, which you just can't experience that in person. So how kind of cool that is now an option.
It is. Actually, you can always turn your camera off, your video off.
You can, yeah, and so true. I'm just picturing.
You're feeling self-conscious about something in particular, just turn.
Goodbye. Yeah, I always say that when I'm like, "Hey, how does everyone think about this next set?" When I've explained it and demoed it, and I'm like, "Well, it doesn't really matter because you don't have a choice." And somebody rightly said a few weeks ago, "Yeah, I do. I'll just disconnect from this, and then I won't do it." And I'm like, "That's a good point." So
well, I also like the fact everyone's on mute because can't hear you swearing at me. So that's
there you go.
We'll have to develop better hand signals.
There's a few members that can help you with that. I've seen some very good hand signals sent in my direction quite frequently. And I'm just picturing now this group fitness class in person where everyone's in a little square or a little bubble in the room, like blocked out from the world, but just in the room together. Quite funny. I love that, and it really does talk to the diversity, but also, like I said, the experience of online is very different. Like Nicky said, you won't get that. You won't get a group environment where you're on your own. So it's very different. And somebody shared with us a couple of weeks back on the show that it wasn't so much that they weren't bothered about seeing other people or talking to other people. It was just the fact that they were there and the accountability of that. So that's the other flip side of it, right? Like, exactly. I'm turning up at 6:30 in the morning because 3 other people are there, and I feel accountable to those people as well as myself. So it is really, really powerful. Yes. It's a powerful tool and a powerful option.
Yeah.
And plus our names are on the list, and you'll know if we don't show up.
I check daily in case you missed that earlier. I check actually probably 10 times a day while I'm looking in the software.
And the name is on the Zoom square.
Yeah, the name is on the Zoom square. So this is what I was going to say to you. The other thing about having the other people in the class is, you'll spot us and go, okay, just like move your arm this way or whatever. But also you're doing it for everybody else. So it's a constant reminder that the form and the shape and the extent, even if it's not directed at me, but you're helping someone else with their positioning, it just reinforces it all. Do you know what I mean? So it's that's a very nice community aspect, which I get out of it, because it's just like extra input.
Yeah, so many people where I say it, I'm directing at somebody, I'm like, such and such, do this and this, and I'm looking, and then like everyone's like, hold on,
yes,
exactly. Do I need to? I'm like, yeah, you can all fix it too. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, that's all kind of relevant, right?
It is indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I want to start to we're going to start to wrap up the show now. It's been a fabulous conversation. We've got a lot of great information, shared a lot of great things. I know there'll be a lot of great takeaways for everyone that's listened today. But I also want to give you the opportunity just to share any final thoughts, Tina, any words of wisdom, any thoughts about health and fitness, or anything else you'd like to share before we sign off.
I think it would only be to repeat what I say to myself. 1, you're worth it. 2, it's never too late. And 3, if you fall off the wagon, it's absolutely great to restart it again, because it just reminds you of yeah. So, it's like when you go off a diet or something and you go, oh, it's too late now. Well, no, you just get back on. Honestly, I am not going to be a little old lady who can't do anything. I refuse.
I love it. Well, I can't top that for anything. Any final thoughts? So that was lovely, and I think that will be really resonate with a lot of people listening today. And we want to thank everyone for listening, as well as thanking you, Tina, for coming on and being a guest on the show, and obviously being a member of the Academy. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everyone listening and tuning in. And what I would say is, if you did get something, you really enjoyed the show today, and there was impactful things in there, share it with someone you love and care about, especially if this story will resonate with them. We appreciate the extra support for the show. It gets the word out to more and more people. And that's it. Nikki, do you have any final thoughts?
No, thanks for joining us, Tina. I think you're an inspiration to many. So thank you for sharing your insight in your journey, because, just somebody listening might be like, no, this is me. I'm going to have my time. I'm going to make a difference. And I really want to have that wonderful quality of movement for a quality of life, and be the best version of myself. So thanks, Tina.
Well, thanks for asking me. It's been a lot of fun. And I just think you two are great. So carry on doing what you're doing. It's going well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We will catch you all on the next episode.